This year, Nissan broke the Ford Holden stranglehold by winning the 1990 Australian Touring Car Championship. And the bad news for Nissan's opponents is that it's come up with a new car, the GTR, which is described as probably the world's most advanced touring car.
Watch the Nissan now. This is the moment for Jimmy Richards.
The GTR arrived at Bathurst after competing in just one race in Australia, and there were plenty of doubters that tipped it wouldn't be able to handle the tortuous 1,000-kilometre race. But Nissan soon proved them wrong, as Jim Richards, the newly crowned touring car champion, quickly took the lead.
Here we go now. Pulls to the inside and Klaus moves over. They are side by side and Jim actually gives him the goodbye.
This little car feels unbelievable. It's a shame there's not more of them in the race.
As the Nissan took control, even its opponents had to admit it was a great car.
Because Jimmy's thing is just so quick out of the corners, it's unbelievable.
Unfortunately, the Nissan eventually succumbed to mechanical failure.
Daring there, something in the transmission's gone on that car. That sounds very, very serious.
But the GTR had proved that it was capable of competing with and beating the best. In motor racing, where technology is all important, Nissan studied the Group A rulebook and came up with a car that stretched the regulations to the limits. A four-wheel drive, four-wheel steering, twin-turbo, six-cylinder, 24-valve, 640 horsepower missile.
Well, the car, I suppose, is the last evolution Group A car. We went from having Commodores and early model BMWs to the BMW M3 to the Sierra, now to this car. And Nissan have done a great job of homologating such a good car. The car is the most technical Group A car in the world. Four-wheel drive, four-wheel steered, twin-turbo. It's obviously pretty technical.
It's what things will be measured by now in Group A racing. But we mustn't forget, it does have a lot more horsepower than our old car. It has got four-wheel drive, but it is a lot heavier. So it is harder on components. And once you get it going down the straight, you've got to stop it. You've got to accelerate it out of the corner, that big mass, and you've got to get round the corner. So, you know, it's not going to be head and shoulders better than anything. It's going to be what things are measured on, but I think it'll be great racing next year.
Of course, with such a complicated and technically advanced car, there have been some hiccups, which Nissan has had to work out.
Oh, it is always the same. It's the better mechanics, the more mechanics you need, the highly trained mechanics you need, sort of thing. And like at Bathurst, this car lost in the qualifying, lost front-wheel drive. There was only a little connection on the brain that we didn't have done, probably our fault, and that stops it working. So there's all those sorts of things. So it is an electronic nightmare. But that's what we're in the high-tech industry now, seeing, and that's where motor cars are going, road cars, any sort of cars. It's getting that way now. That any car you buy is high-tech, and it will keep getting that way to sort of get fuel mileage and sort of performance and sort of lightness. And the GTR is probably the ultimate of the present in a race car.
Now, being a Group A car and a touring car, you're supposed to be able to produce 5,000 of them. Can somebody go out and buy one of these cars, and if they can, what sort of price tag would they be looking at?
Well, in Japan, they have built, say, 7,000 of these cars in their basic form. Now, you say they've got to build 5,000. Well, Nissan Japan have built more than that, 7,000. Then they built a 500 Evolution. Well, the 500 Evolution car was sold in 2 days in Japan. All were gone, sold. Now, what Nissan Australia are doing now, doing an exercise now, are looking at evaluation of bringing 100 or 200 of these into the country. And I think that's a pretty positive step. And I'd say next year you'll be able to buy, probably about June next year, one of these is a road car for about $90,000. So when you compare that with what you can buy, what something else costs, the same performance, it's going to be a cheap motor car.